So hello everybody, the few patient ones who are staying for this very exciting time. I'm quite depressed to talk after Alexandra, who was just explaining how very worrying the future is, and now I'm going to explain how we fund it. So my title was Making Every Researcher Digital, and starting from that, which was quite kind of a interesting starting point when I showed that in the commission, my colleague said, no, you cannot have that as a topic, because why would you make every researcher digital? And I found that as an interesting question, but then we kind of came up with a solution that we want to give every researcher a possibility to have digital connections. But it was interesting because for us it's evident that of course every researcher wants to be digital, but maybe that's not so. So what we are working for in the Commission, European Commission, is to make open science, open digital science, the way science is done in Europe. So we want to make digital possible for European researchers. This is the fine-tuning I had to make. And our vision is that one day every researcher will be digital, not by force, but by having the possibility to do that. And what people don't often remember is that there are a lot of there's a digital divide in Europe. All European countries, there are 28 countries in the European Union, they don't have equal means, they don't have equal possibilities, and we would like to bridge those digital divides. There is this thing called ERA, European Research Area, which we want to reach, and we would like to help achieve a digital European Research Area, which again means that people are connected, they have access to high-performance computing, and they are able to find their data, to have availability of resources, otherwise not equally available. So we want to have these people digital. Now, what is open digital science? That is the way science is done today, and it is especially the transformation of science through ICT. As you have heard already today, and you will be hearing more, science is changing. Science is changing because of people being connected, because of big amounts of data and a possibility for computing. It's a more open and democratic way of doing science and research, and we are very eager to support that. It is important because it makes science more efficient and transparent. One of the big issues in our work program, our funding program for European science, is that we do believe that, and this is very tricky, that when scientists have their publications and they put them to open source, that's a starting point. But the next thing is that we would like to see also the data behind all those publications, the data behind all those results, those also to be openly available. That is transparency. That's very difficult. If you are a scientist and you have achieved big things with your research, would you want to put all that data available for other scientists? We believe that you should if your science is funded publicly. It's democratic because it does change the interaction between science and society. It means that citizens themselves, people with no established status in the academic world, can be part of science. And that is quite interesting. And this way, the societal impact of science can be much bigger, and also the links to industry can be enforced. So the drivers for change that we have identified are those that people know quite well. Big data. We all know that it's growing at an exponential speed. I think these figures can't really be seen. This is from the European Voice, which talks about data as the new currency. But it has some facts that, such as, I think it's 5 million photographs which are uploaded every day, 200 hours of video are uploaded every day in YouTube, etc. So the amount of data building up is enormous. As our keynote speaker already said, the amount of data built up in the recent years is bigger than ever. I read, I think from the same article, that 90% of all data existing in the world has been created in the last 2 years. And this is going to continue. Well, the good news is that we have more computing power. and it's going to grow. These figures are a bit old, but as we know, we are striving for the next generation, and we believe in obtaining exascale computing at some stage, so and in not too long future. So there's going to be a lot more possibility to handle this big data. That won't help as such. We do need to have new algorithms, new methods, and as a mathematician, I like also to say new mathematics, new results, so that we can be more efficient. Then there's a lot to talk about global connections. That's especially interesting, of course, when we looked at this presentation of the Internet of Things, because that's the connectivity which is scary, that we are all connected with each other. It has good sides also because it allows people to develop. This is kind of a slightly off the topic, but it's a good example, this about global connections. This is the map of the world, and in this map you see there's US is in the left, Europe is in the middle, and then we have Asia on the right-hand side. These lines between two dots are in fact co-authors. So this means that there's a lot of co-authoring globally, and especially within the continents. So here we have Europe, and this is the connectivity, and these lines are going to be more and more, they are going to be more equally distributed in the world, just because we can, and we can find the best niche expertise in the other parts of the world. And this connectivity is one of the things for common science. So all in all, open is better. Open hasn't been evident in the scientific world, so talking even within the same discipline hasn't been evident, because you want to concentrate on your niche area. It's becoming more evident. People start to talk within scientific communities, between different communities, and as I said, between science and society. That we have a lot of these examples of this kind of citizen science, where citizens are participating in finding solutions, and also finding the original solutions for problems that have existed a long time, because they can participate in their area and their niche area. So in the Commission we have commissioners, which are changing now, but we still have Nelly Cruz for Open Digital Science. And she has said in one of her speeches a good sentence which I like to use. She says that we are moving towards open digital science, a trend that is gradual but unstoppable. And what is important there, I think, is the unstoppable part. It means that this trend is anyway going, even though those scientists who feel that this is my world and I like to do it this way, digital is not an issue for mathematicians or for philosophers, etc. It is getting there. The whole world is becoming digitalized and it's becoming connected. So in a way, the Internet of Things is quite relevant for the researchers also. We are all getting there. So as regards this open digital science, we like to put that word in a sense that there are four basic pillars. One is the e-infrastructures, for example, the big data, which are needed to be able to benefit from that. We have the pillar of open access to research results and processes, and as I said, eventually also to data. What is really needed nowadays is evidence-based policy making. We call global systems science something where we try to find the kind of legalities and interlinks in a system and see how that impacts the result. And those evidence-based results and interlinks do impact the way policy is done these days. And then there's the citizen engagement, citizen science, and crowdsourcing as a way of going ahead. Now there are challenges in each one of these. For e-infrastructures, in order to be useful for all kinds of science and eventually all the society, we need to tackle those access limitations, which are still quite difficult. We have to find a way of having virtual research environments which are widely usable for people, accessible for all scientists, and again, to bridge those divides between different European countries, for example, which is still not evident, but is quite important. For open access to research results, what is interesting these days and where we believe that Europe has something to say is that now for a scientist, the way to go ahead in your scientific career are very traditional. You need to publish in the best papers, etc. But we need alternative publishing models. We need to be able to put our results into new kinds of formats, new publishing means, new digital means, and we need to have benefit for publishing the research data and to have open metadata. And of course, there's a huge world of text and data mining. So this is going to change the world, the way science is done. We have possibilities to do science much more quickly than before, just by having this connectivity and all this data available, and it's going to change the world. As regards the evidence-based policy making, this is the link between science and society, which is going to change also, in the sense that the results of the science are much quicker achievable. The data behind is going to be more accessible, and this will have a direct link in policy decision. So again, science will have a bigger impact than before. And about citizen science, we all know all these funny examples of citizens doing the shapes of protein molecules and stuff like that. Now, from these isolated examples, we are going to turn into research methods, and that's what we believe is going to happen in the near future. And this is going to become also part of new ways of funding research. Crowdsourcing can be quite an effective way also. And all of this means that the way science and research is measured is going to be different. We will need to change our whole approach. And while this is just research and science, it does have an impact for innovation and society. So as such, it's quite important. So it's going to mean a global change in culture for researchers, research organizations, and also for industry. So now coming to the more technical part, as regards open digital science, what we can say that e-science is something that supports it. And for that e-science, we have 3 infrastructure pillars that we are supporting in the Commission. One is big data, and the other one high-speed connections, and then we have high-performance computing. And I'll just very quickly go through what we do with these. So all of these, as you see, beautifully support e-science and open digital science. Now looking at the first one, high-speed connections, I'm not going to say much at all. I'm just going to mention that the solution that we support for Europe at the moment is called GEANT, which provides high-speed connectivity at the pan-European level and also is linked to other high-speed connections. And as you see from this map, it's linked to all European countries. There's a good node also in Finland. And this allows for the researchers to be interlinked in whatever country in Europe they are, and it allows them to have high-speed connections. Now, going to the pillar of big data, which is the hype nowadays, a bit about the challenges and possibilities and what we can do about them in Europe. Now, what people don't often realize is that there is big data behind most of the features that we experience all the time. The thing that the weather forecasts are more reliable than before, maybe not in Belgium, but in many other countries. Well, Belgium is easy because it basically rains always. So if they say rain, the 90% probability that is correct. But there's a big change in this. That is due to the amount of data that is accessible. The same thing goes for physics, chemistry, material sciences, astrophysics. There's a lot of crunching, which I come to later, but there's a huge amount of data which is available. In engineering and in industry, which I think there must be experts around here, but the amount of funding which is saved by being able to have precise modeling and precise simulations, for example in car industry, it is enormous amounts of money that we are talking about. And all of this is due to the ability to collect that much data. And obviously we know all about the life sciences and possibilities to collect information, DNA, etc., and to be able to crunch that quickly. So, in general, how can big data make a difference? It makes a difference in many ways that we don't realize in real life cases. This is kind of four-step approach that has been presented for leveraging on big data, to have the ideas, developing building blocks, and to create the infrastructure for data-driven economy. That's what we are supporting, that there is an infrastructure on which to build all this, and then to, of course, tackle the security and trust problems. Even though e-infrastructures and data structures are global in a way, in Europe we have a massive amount of legal obstacles in using them. But big research data is important for scientific results that are faster and useful, which I just mentioned, that faster in the sense that we can produce the data quicker, useful in the sense that they can be implemented, they can be taken at use. In the financial world, for example, a lot has changed because of the amount of data that can be analyzed. Because of the big amount of data, the reliability has increased, and the predictions have become more evidence-based and less kind of theory-based. Due to heterogeneity of the data, we have multidisciplinary solutions, and we are able to solve old and new problems by having enough data behind it. And we can have foundations on new areas of science. I think, for example, in mathematics, big data will have changes it will create new areas of mathematics. This is an example which I picked with a very kind of valid line, and I think this basically says all about what we need to say about big data. That transporting a 50-meter turbine blade is not the same thing as transporting a 10-meter one, only bigger. There are a lot of new challenges and new problems when we talk about big data, especially about vast data. It is not simple, and what we do at the moment is that we try to support that. I think this picture is quite a good one. Now, and of course we have our official bodies like the European Council, which we all cherish and love in Europe. They have recognized also big data. Of course, it's a hype and it's a fashion, so they do. But they have recognized for the European member states that there's a need to enhance the potential of big data and data-driven innovation. And technologies building on big data are important enablers of productivity. And why this political statement is important, it is because these statements end up in possibilities for funding, and this statement also means that there's potential for funding in innovation relating to big data applications. Now, what we have at the moment, this is kind of a descriptive picture. We have, first of all, the layer of connectivity, which is giant at the moment. We have the layer of HPC, distributed computing, software, infrastructures, etc., to support data structures. And then we have a lot of different data infrastructures, and there's a lot going on in Europe. All of these are existing different e-infrastructures, a lot concentrating on data. So a lot is happening, and we are doing great. But building on this evidence, what the European kind of ambition is to develop a coherent framework to harness all that knowledge, all that information, and as the world is so hyper-connected, how to kind of benefit from this. I just read a text which is in fact part of, we have this consultation on mathematics and HPC and big data at the moment, and somebody commented there, I think it was there, saying that what we talk about is from data to get from data to information, that's clear. And then by combining all this information together, we get to knowledge. But then there's the next step, that how do we get from knowledge to wisdom? And that relates also to this link to policy making and the political decisions. We need to get from these different data providers and data sets that data to information, to knowledge and to wisdom, and then the world can become a better place. So that world should be open, digital, obviously it will be, connected, shared, and it should be fair, which is the challenge. So that was the data pillar. And then we have the third pillar, which is high performance computing, which is very pragmatic how we do at the moment in the Commission. What we want is to become forerunners in HPC, and then I'm just saying why that's important. It is a big challenge. We know that the US is there and China is there, but there are some areas where we hope to become that. The previous picture about big data is actually a picture of all the areas where HPC is behind it. You can never crunch all that weather data if you don't have HPC to crunch it with. Physics, we know that all the recent innovations, the recent discoveries, they have needed HPC to be able to go where they are. And the same is all these simulation models, all these pattern recognitions, that all needs quite a lot of crunching power. So the European Union has done a conclusion that HPC is a strategic tool, especially for the innovation capacity. And in fact, relating to the other interventions that have been here, we do really want to find the SMEs and ways for SMEs to have access to HPC. It is critical to address this grand societal challenges, not only to be able to do weather forecasts, but also to be able to find solutions for health, energy, etc. It has a very high return on investment. This has been analyzed. It's 5 to 10 times as much as the investment, so that is very good, and that is also paving the way for the future of HPC. Most profitable, vibrant industrial sectors in Europe, of course, they benefit from HPC in many different ways. This is just kind of some marketing figures for that, but it is true that especially in the areas of healthcare, for example, HPC is starting to play a very big role. Now, our strategy for HPC has 3 aspects at the moment. This means we have a kind of a setup. We have our basic framework is a work program for 2014 to 2020, and within that we do 2-year work programs. And this, what's referred to here, means that all these topics are funded in the area of our work program for 2014-15. In my area especially, which is e-infrastructure, we fund European research in this area with 100 million a year, a bit more nowadays, but 100 to 130 million a year. So we are talking about quite good amount of funding which can be benefited from. And in HPC we have 3 elements. We want to do computing solutions for exascale computing in the future when that will be possible. We fund access to the best, fastest supercomputing facilities in Europe. And then we are building these centers of excellence in the world of coding, as we know that the coding these days is to quite a big extent, larger than I would have assumed, still based in the old codes that were created in thematic fields with Fortran and other old languages. These need to be updated to be able to be in use for extreme parallelism or the new generations of computing. We are funding these kind of things. And for this, which is quite important, is that we have a public-private partnership, and the funding is done through this European technology platform, which is especially for high-performance computing. A similar public-private partnership is going to be done for big data also, being partly to respond to the hype and fashion, but partly it will be quite important. And this kind of public-private partnership means that we believe also in this private area to develop the strategy for this area, especially here for the HPC. This partnership is driving our strategic approaches. They have a strategic research agenda, and by the way, this is open to any HPC actor. And this will be developing our future for HPC. 700 million a year will be the value of this, so that is not a, let's say it's a good sum. So what we aim at with this public-private partnership is to build a European world-class HPC technology and to find this critical mass of resources so that HPC in Europe can grow. And in principle, we want to find a EU leadership and worldwide excellence in key application domains for industry, science, and society. It will be quite a challenge. We know that the US is quite high up there, but we kind of have a hope of finding niche areas where Europe can excel. Our work program is called Horizon 2020, and all this what I've been speaking has been in its area of excellence in science. And the total budget is 72 billion euros. And with this amount, we hope to be able to support the kind of digital development in Europe. That's it.